A story is told about Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, a 3rd century sage who lived in the land of Israel. Once upon a time, the rabbi came upon Elijah the prophet, who pops up regularly in the Talmud, but particularly with Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi asks Elijah, when will the Mashiach come? When will the Messiah come? This is a question, understandably, that is often asked when times are hard. It's not really a question in the academic sense, it's a cry of despair. In other words, when, God, will someone come and save us from this misery and the troubles that surround us? Elijah gives the rabbi a surprising answer. He says, go and ask him. The rabbi asks incredulously, where is he sitting? Elijah tells him that the Mashiach sits among the people who suffer from illness at the entrance of the city. In the ancient world, those afflicted with the disease called sara'at, which we just read about in our parsha, had a low social status. They were highly contagious and often impoverished and would gather at the city gates. Most everyone stayed away from this group of outcasts. However, according to Elijah, this is where the Messiah, God's chosen one, our Redeemer, can be found. The rabbi then asks Elijah, well, how will I recognize him among the others with sara'at? And Elijah answers, all the others untie their bandages at once and rebandage them altogether. The Mashiach, however, unties and rebandages each bandage one at a time. With sara'at, a skin disease, there was a need to retie and untie bandages regularly. Why was it that the Messiah would do each bandage one at a time? In case the time has come for them to appear, the Messiah does not want to be delayed by their bandaging. So Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi goes to see the Messiah. He greets him and he asks him, when will you come, Master? And he replies, Hayom, today. After returning to Elijah, Rabbi Yoshua says to him, you lied to me. Or he lied to me. The Messiah just said he would come today, but he has not. Where is he? Elijah corrects the rabbi, quoting the psalmist. This is what he said to you. Hayom im b'kolo tishma'u. Today, if you will heed his voice. This story suggests that redemption, building a world for all, lies at our fingertips if only we would listen. What's the Messiah telling us in this story? First, that she sits among those on the margins of society, neglected and forgotten, or shunned, feared, and reviled. Second, she is ever ready to reveal herself as Messiah and to redeem humanity. The challenge to Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi and to us is to listen to the voice of this person whom we may ordinarily ignore and would certainly not assume to be the Messiah. People on the margins do not appear important. They don't typically receive respect. That's why this story is such a significant one in our tradition. It suggests that we must give every person the same attention and care, the same dignity and respect that the Messiah would deserve. Too often, we're dismissive of voices that come from unexpected quarters, folks with whom we disagree. We don't yet know what we could learn from those voices until we open our ears to them. Jane, you spoke beautifully today about how the priests in the wilderness visited Israelites stricken with sara'at, modeling for us the precious mitzvah of Bikur Cholim. The Torah tells us that people with this mysterious and frightening illness were sent outside the Israelite camp. They could not return until the illness had gone away and they were purified. There was no treatment for tzara'at in those days. Quarantine was the only way to deal with its ravages. The priest's visits to check on the ill person's progress were thus both medical and pastoral. They would determine when a person was fit to return, but we can also imagine that their presence was a great comfort to those who had no other visitors and dwelt isolated and alone in what one writer calls the country of illness. Much has changed in our modern world. Astounding advances in medicine have given us powerful weapons against disease. But there are many who still live in the country of illness, chronic illness, feeling alone and afraid. We can't all be the Messiah, but each of us can be like that ancient priest, going out of our way to travel outside the camp, giving attention and care to where it is needed most. All of us can do our best to make sure no one in our community feels isolated. And remember, the priest didn't just visit once. He came after 7 days and then again a week later. A good reminder to stay in regular contact, especially with those who are dealing with long-standing chronic illness and with their caregivers too, for caregivers can also feel forgotten. 2 more things we can learn from this story. First, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi needed Elijah to point him toward the Messiah. He didn't know where to find him or to find help. We can all use a helping hand at some point in our life. And second, Yehoshua was unaware of those poor sufferers at the gate of the city. He needed assistance and direction in finding them. Your rabbis may not be aware of people in our community always who are feeling alone and apart. And for those who already do this and to those who will in the future, we're grateful for your help in pointing us toward those in need.